my childhood. My
Mm.
mom was mentally sick and she would lock herself in her room for 2 days and we'd bang on the door and say, "We gotta eat."
So, guys, today I'm with Craig DeSaucy, and Craig is a friend of mine. He lives in Japan as well. And recently I found out that Craig has actually been doing the carnivore diet. So I decided, after hearing about Craig's results, to get him on the channel. So, Craig, thanks very much for joining us.
Yeah, well, thank you. It's a chance for me to talk about this because I normally don't talk about this on my channel or in general. So,
How how did you get involved with the carnivore diet, and what has happened?
right. So, I've always been 30, 40 pounds overweight, and it's always bothered me. And I always research diets and, try this, try that. I try to go, I've always worked out and went to the gym on and off for forever, but that would just make me a strong fat guy. So I couldn't work out enough to lose weight because it wasn't about that. And in my 40s, I'm 55 years old, by the way. So in my 40s, I started to look like a pear. So my shoulders, I stopped working out, and American pear, not a Japanese pear. So American pear, you know the difference, right?
So just for context, a Japanese pear is basically shaped like an apple, right?
That's
Just
right.
bigger. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And an American pear is slim at the top, and then it just it's just like bomb. Maybe you can put a pic, slide a pic in there showing them. So but I was stuck and I didn't like the way I felt. And I wore really baggy clothes all the time. And I became like I had this persona of a clown, this jolly clown. And it was all designed to stay fat. This My whole world was constructed to protect me being fat. And I didn't realize that until I actually got really serious about my health. And the reason that happened was in my 40s, my doctor said you're going to be pre-diabetic soon and your cholesterol levels, but now I know that's bullshit about the cholesterol stuff. But at the time, I felt worried, and then COVID hit. It gutted my business, and it I wasn't prepared to pivot. I wasn't prepared to rebuild mentally. I wasn't prepared because I was riding a wave of a very old business that I had that was built on referrals and doing sales and marketing again, rebuilding. It was so then I stopped and I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. I know because I'm a coach. I know based on coaching if you go directly into an area that's broken and try to fix that, it's going to be really hard. But if you go into another area and work on that, there's a transference of energy and confidence. And so I knew if I'm going to go directly into the business, I'm going to be really frustrated because I'm not mentally and physically prepared. So I've never been in the military, but people that join the military, the first thing they do is go to boot camp. Why? Because they're going to get your mind and your body strengthened and conditioned to weather the storms that are going to inevitably come from war. But for me, it would be the storms and the resistance and the pushback that I'm going to experience in the marketplace. Because life is going to test you and say, how bad do you want this? And you're going to have to fight again. I was not in a condition to fight again. And I had to because I'm married and you have to provide and protect as a man. My daughter was getting married. She's going to have a baby. I didn't want to be the grandfather that talks. I want to just be quiet and they look at me and they say, "Oh, that's an example of excellence. That's a good example of how to be." So I don't like advice. None of us do. If advice worked, then we'd all be whatever we wanted to be instantaneously because all the advice is free on YouTube. But that's not the case, right? So I started to like have a awakening, and I realized, I got to make a shift. And then my the little voices in my head was like, well, you're 52, and your time's come and passed, and all this negative stuff. And I was like, nah, I'm not gonna I can't do that. That's being a coward. So I couldn't go to Gold's Gym because they have the mask mandate, and who can work out with a mask on your face? So I filled my house with gym equipment, and I watched lots of videos on the carnivore, and I tried keto. It helped me lose weight, but the vegetable part of it wasn't agreeing with me. First, so I did an elimination diet during that time, and I'm working out every day. I get up early, and it wasn't just the diet. It was a bunch of other things like getting up at 5 a.m., going to sleep at 8:30, 9 o'clock, and locking that in for your, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's circadian rhythm. You have
Mm.
some, yeah, that that's really important. So I was looking at how can I be a peak performer? And the diet was the foundation was the physical strength and the diet. So let me lock that in. Then I started, once I locked that in, I started to lock in the habits of the sleep and the extra water. But I got scared that I was not going to be a model of excellence for my family. And um, that's not how I wanted to live the last quarter of my life. And I just decided that I'm going to lose the weight. And it worked. Just to give you an example, every winter I've always gained weight. I've always put on weight in the wintertime. For the last 2 winters, I didn't gain any weight. And actually, this winter, I lost 2 kilos.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
So what's
that
that,
was,
about 4.5 pounds?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's when I knew, like, oh, I got this. Because I've
Hmm.
been at this almost 3 years now. And I'm like, this is not an issue for me anymore. And because it's not an issue for me anymore, I have a lot of mental energy. But before all the benefits kicked in, I had to deal with stuff. When I decided to do this, I looked for a model to use, and I thought to myself, why don't I just use the same framework that I use with my clients to have breakthroughs? It's that that's duh. Why don't I just do this on myself? So I pulled out my journal, and I started to write everything down. Like, for example, if I want to go shopping for something for my office, I always thought, where is there a yummy place around that area so I can kill two birds with one stone? So if near the home center, there's a nice pizza place, then okay, great. I'm going to go to the home center today. That's my excuse to eat pizza. But then I would write down, well, why do you eat? Right?
Hmm.
And why are you eating? And I would write about that. And I was like, well, I never thought about that. Well, let's think about it. What do you do right before you eat something that's not good for you? And then I would write down, I start to think about how I don't have any certainty anymore in my business. As that internal pressure builds up, um, I feel even more stressed, and it creates some other kind of emotions that are super uncomfortable. And I don't know how to explain what that is. So I make myself wrong for feeling that way, which creates more pressure. And what I'm doing is I'm creating all this internal pressure. And then how do I deal with that? I eat to
Hmm.
push that pressure down. And that's what's going on.
Hmm.
And I flushed all this out in my journal because if just eating the carnivore diet is going to make all our problems go away, then everybody would be eating it. But based on my experience, we're emotionally driven creatures that logically convince ourselves of some story. And that story is a lie. You got to get under the story. So I got under the story, which led to, this is crazy, my childhood. My
Mm.
mom was mentally sick and she would lock herself in her room for 2 days and we'd bang on the door and say, "We got to eat. Like, can you cook?" And she said, "If you ask one more time, I'm going to kill myself and then you'll never eat." Or she'll threaten us like, "If you ask again, you never." So she punished and controlled and abused us with the depriving us of food. So as a kid, I used to always roam around and figure out how to get food, whatever I had to do to get food, and then I would eat. So I always had a surplus. So when I went home, whether she cooked or not, it didn't matter because I was taken care of. That habit, that mindset, that way of being carried throughout my entire life until I handled my until I realized that's what I was doing. I don't I don't have a problem with buying food. I cook my own food. Money's not an issue. Access to food's not an issue. Why am I doing that? It's a preconditioned pattern that was programmed into me by my upbringing. So once I
Mm.
got down to that, and then I started to journal, like, "Hey, you're safe now, and no one's going to ever tell you you can't eat again, and there's no reason to overeat because you're always going to have access to food, so it's okay, you don't have to do this anymore." And that part of me that was so addicted to that, could loosen that up a little. And that
Mm.
was a really big breakthrough for me, and I worked it all out in my journals. People can go to talk therapy, or they can hire a psychotherapist to find out where the patterns that are running their life, figure out what those patterns are. But for me, if I didn't fit, that pattern was what was really driving everything. It was a
Mm.
scarcity. There's not enough. I have to stay fat just in case there's no food. So once I got rid of that, that was like it was amazing what happened, because now I bread, all this stuff I used to love to eat, bread, sugar, cakes. I I look at it now, like, I wouldn't put that in my body. Are you crazy? Like, why would I put that in my body? I'm gonna feel terrible.
Mm.
So what else happened? All the benefits. Once I unlocked the real reason why I was fat, then I felt safe throwing away my clothes. I lost weight before, but I gained it back. But this time I knew that I arrived and this is for real and this is going to be how it's going to be for the rest of my life. Then I threw away my clothes. I was size, do you know Japanese size is 3XL, 3X.
Okay. Wow.
Three, that so I wasn't that big, but that was a comfortable size for me.
Mm.
And in a little baggy, but it was hiding, because when I was a kid, I was fat because I was eating outside all the time. So of course I got bullied and teased for being fat, so I would just isolate myself and eat more. And that's exactly how my mother dealt with her depression and her sickness in her life. She just hid and ate and ate and ate until she was 90 pounds overweight.
Mm.
So it ran, that kind of pattern ran in my family. And I went through all the stories of I'm big boned, I have German genes, these stories that I would tell people, but no, that's not what happened.
Mm.
So yeah, I threw away all my clothes and I haven't looked back. So
Mm. So, um, it's a while since we've seen each other.
yeah,
So when I did see you, I was, very surprised at, how different you are looking.
right.
So, um, how much weight did you lose doing this?
So my heaviest, when I met you a long time ago in Tokyo, 14 years ago,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah, that would be, yeah,
Yeah, so
2009.
I was probably 100 kilos, but my biggest was 105. So
Right.
right before I met you, I think a year before I met you, I was 105. And I had a
105.
40, yeah, I had a
So that'd be
40,
220, something like that. 220
yeah,
pounds. Mm,
yeah, and I'm 5'7".
right.
So I was big, but I have a small head and yeah, and I have skinny legs. So it's kind of it doesn't look that big, but I'm big. I was big,
Mm,
and it was hard to get out of bed in the morning. And
mm,
I had a lot of shoulder pain, knee inflammation caused by the sugar and the carbs, right? And it just crept up, and I just accepted it, and it was yeah, I was big, and
mm,
so now then I went to 97 kilos, and I stayed there for years, and I was stuck at 97. And then when I started to take this serious, the weight started to come off. And I remember I bought an indoor bike.
mm,
It's a magnetic bike, so it doesn't make any noise. And I remember pedaling this bike and my knees hitting my stomach.
mm,
I remember that. And I remember telling myself that this it's okay because if you keep at this and you keep at the diet, it's gonna work. You just have to push through this and it's gonna be okay. Now I have no stomach. So when I'm on my bike, it's not hitting nothing but air.
mm,
And now I can wear I can wear a suit now. Like I can tuck my shirt and wear a belt and show the world because there's nothing there. I've got some loose skin, but I'm 55. Like,
mm,
you know, if I was 30, I probably would have been able to get rid of the loose skin too. And that's okay. But that, what was it, 70? Oh, now I'm 77 kilos.
mm. 77. So you've lost, what's that,
Well,
23, 28,
28
28
kilos.
kilos. So 28, what's that? 28 kilos times
That would be,
2.2. What's that? 61 and a half pounds.
yeah.
Wow. So that's why you're looking different to the last time I saw you.
Yeah, and everybody tells me now, like I went to my in-laws the other day, and my in-laws were saying, "Hey, your skin is so clear and kide is pretty or nice
Mm,
looking." And you know, so yeah, I'm just like thank you and that's cool, but here's the thing too. I didn't do this for accolades or the approval of others. I did it for the approval and the accolades to give to myself.
mm,
If I get it from others, it's a bonus. But what's most important is that I feel good about me because that's what I project out into the world.
yeah.
And because I got this, I dialed this in and I've been working at this so long, I attract better quality people into my life. I attract higher quality clients that are easy to work with.
Mm,
It's really weird how um, doing this for me gets projected out into the world.
mm. So do you think that's because are you just feeling better about yourself so you can present yourself better to other people and you're therefore attracting better into your life?
I can be present
Mm,
because I accept myself. I don't have to be a clown
mm,
and entertain as a way to keep the focus off me because I'm not accepting of myself.
mm,
If I act that way, it turns people off. There's a disconnect and they can sense it. They don't know what they're sensing, but they're sensing something and it's getting in the way of me connecting with them. So, for example, if I meet a client or a prospective client, it's about them. It's not about me. so I can be totally comfortable there and just explore and talk to them where they are, what they're trying to achieve, and be totally there for them, as opposed to being there for them a little bit, but making sure, do they think I'm a loser because I'm a fat fucking slob?
So you before you're always kind of thinking about you're always conscious of how you're presenting yourself rather than
Right,
being present in the moment.
exactly, because I wasn't accepting myself. I mean, for my profession, I'm trained, I'm very competent at what I do, but that gets tainted if I'm doing that other stuff.
Mm.
I don't have to do that other stuff. Like I know how to do my job. Just do your job. They don't care about your fat. They probably can't even see your gut. Like, what do you? But this whole fat thing played a huge problem in my life.
Mm.
Yeah.
So what is a day of eating like for you now?
Oh, it's a afterthought.
Right.
I I normally I wake up at 5 a.m. and I have black coffee with grass-fed butter,
Hmm.
the fat for the mental energy, and then I'll probably eat around 11 o'clock or sometimes 2 o'clock. It depends. If I'm on a roll in my work, I'll just push through and then I'll eat, not because I'm starving, because I know I need the protein for my muscles, because it's a logical thing. It's not like I gotta eat.
Mm.
I, Eating for the protein for my muscles is more important to me than eating because I need fuel. My energy, so I'll eat maybe 11 or 12. I'll eat maybe I don't 200 grams or 250 grams of beef, uh just fry it up, and two or three eggs,
Right.
and over easy, so they're runny, and then I mix it in a bowl with some salt, and then I eat that, and I'm good until 6 o'clock maybe. If I eat, sometimes I'll eat 3 o'clock, and then I'll eat again at 6 or 7 if I feel like eating. But if I don't feel like eating, I'm okay with 2 meals.
Okay.
That's crazy.
Mm.
That's so crazy. I never thought this is ridiculous, that like I would be such an hangry, angry, hungry, hangry person. I'd travel with my family. I'd stop the car at a 7-Eleven to get a sandwich because I need the bread for the insulin spike. Like, I was constantly doing that every few hours.
Mm.
And I don't do that. It's like I don't know.
It's amazing when it's amazing when you have that realization. Like I was I was living my life based on what the next meal was going to be.
Yeah.
When I was living
Yeah.
my life, what's the next thing I'm going to eat? When do I get to eat again? And
Yeah.
when you're suddenly able to eat 2 meals a day or 1 meal a day, and then it's like I've got I've got all this time that I never knew I had. How much time in my life did I waste? Just yeah,
Yeah.
looking around for a 7-Eleven or a Family Mart convenience store to get an energy bar or something.
Mm.
Yeah.
There's something there actually. So recently I created a 5-year plan. Like, at the end of 5 years, how do I want my life to be
Hmm.
and why? I want to I want to take my grandson fishing, or I'm gonna do this or do that. And if we have a compelling future that serves to pull us forward, and like, if somebody enters our life, if they're not a part of that plan, we don't get too close to them because we're really serious about our future and we have a really exciting place that we're trying to get to.
Hmm.
Most people don't think that they can do that. They they don't feel like they have much agency in their life. And when you don't have much agency in your life and you don't feel like you can accomplish anything realistically, you'll have a tendency to just make the next meal the big thing. You'll have a tendency to eat junk because that's the pleasure, the little bit of pleasure and satisfaction, gratification you can get now in the moment. And it's a vicious trap. So what I found out is that making plans of how I want to be, like in 5 years, I'll be 60. I would like to have the ability to be a health influencer if I choose to. I'm not saying I'm going to do that, but if at 60, if I wanted to do that, I could start making videos, doing pull-ups and lifting weights and eating healthy at 60 years old, encouraging other people that they can do the same thing.
Mm.
I want to have that ability. But in order to do that, then I have to stay on track with my health and fitness today. But for me, the health and fitness today is like honoring my body, and this meat suit is my responsibility to what's the what was it, steward. The word is steward. Be a good steward of your body,
Mm.
right? In religious terms, they the religious people talk about the body is the temple. And if that's the case, then don't you want to create a temple that's inviting for only good things to come in? So it goes deep. I just, again, I use a journal and I write about everything about this stuff, like the body, and um if this body was my child, would I stuff it with cookies every time it cried because I couldn't handle the stress of that crying, you
Mm.
know? So
This is it's a really good point, actually. Treating your body as a temple and all that kind of thing. Um, because there's people that would kind of say that, but then I mean, I guess the majority of the population would say, "Yeah, my body's a temple," but then in the next breath, it's like, "Yeah, give me more donuts." You know, and they're not really thinking about what they're saying. So
yeah, it's
you want to treat it as you want it to continue.
yeah. Yeah, I was that guy. I used to walk right and talk. I used to talk right and walk left. So, oh, but that was
Same.
another thing in my life. I'm into mastery. So I live in Japan. I've studied like samurai philosophy, and uh, there's this like left to our own devices, we end up in a lot of trouble. But if you follow some kind of a framework, then you can really create an amazing life for yourself. A lot of people, like, I've studied every religion there is on the planet, and I've studied all kinds of different philosophies. And what I came to the conclusion, my truth is, I need to take a little bit of each of this and create my own framework and live by that. And here's why I ended up at that conclusion. I used to watch videos and, I'm going to do that. Oh, I'm going to do that. And I realized in the process of journaling, there was a part of my brain that wanted to copy that person as an insurance policy because it's not going to work out, because it's not a personalized plan. And when it doesn't work out, I get to blame them. So it was a resistance to taking personal responsibility for my life is why I wanted to follow someone else. So then when I had that awakening, I was like, okay, I get it. So I need to study all this stuff, do my due diligence, come up with my own plan. And if it doesn't work, I didn't fail. It's a learning opportunity that I'm going to journal about, and I'm going to figure this out. That was a huge shift in my life. When I had
Mm.
that realization, I was like, oh my God, this this is like the personal responsibility on nitro, because I figured out what I was doing was I was BSing myself. And then I would blame this guy that talks about keto or carnivore or whatever. And I didn't want to be the guy in the comment section saying, yeah, but da 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 da. So I
Mm.
just figured it out my own. So not everybody has to doesn't they don't have to be into mastery or trying to be the best version of themselves. Just do it for today. Just today. Just
Mm,
just today, eat clean and try to think clean, meaning don't be so judgmental of the rest of the world and be kind to yourself and others and create a framework basically that
mm,
you live by. And the code of ethics, there's the samurai, they have a code. You can look it up. I don't bore you with it, but it's called Bushido. And there's like what, seven principles. And this was a good framework for me to dig into. But we all need a framework. There used to be religion, and people used to go to church, and they used to use that framework. But then, that got all messed up because of science or whatever. People can believe what they want. So then, so I just realized, okay, let me create my own thing, and I
mm,
created my own framework. And now, if I fail, I didn't fail. Here's another thing that I figured out with the weight loss stuff. Stop saying you failed, Craig. You didn't fail. And the reason why you're saying you're failing is because you just want to go back to eating pizza and donuts and stuff. You didn't fail. You you messed up because that's what humans do. We mess up and
mm,
we get better. We mess up and we get better. So I changed it to you win or you learn. Same thing I tell my clients. Okay, what did we learn? Oh, but it hurts. I know it hurt that you messed up. Let's hurt together for 20% of our time. And for the 80% of the time left, let's figure out what we can learn and how we can make an adjustment moving forward.
mm.
That's the mindset I took. And that's why I was able to become successful. I'm taking the same framework that I did in my health and I'm applying it to my broken business and all the other things that I'm working on now.
Mm.
And yeah, I'm much happier as a
It's,
result.
I think that's a really important point, and that's one of the things that I tend to um, be saying a lot in the comments on my channel to some people that are just getting started with the diet. And that's that, don't worry if you fall off the wagon. Don't worry if you make a mistake. Don't worry if you have an ice cream because you just had to have the ice cream, whatever it is. Just focus, don't focus on the error.
Right.
Focus on just getting back on the horse.
Hey, listen, this is a very good point. Actually, there's another angle to it too. I want you to worry because a part of you wants to worry, and that's okay. But please understand this: you may be over worrying. And the reason why is because you're thinking about giving up. You don't have to give up. Actually, now I expect to fail. Like failure is factored into everything I do
Mm.
because everything I've ever done, 80% of the time I failed. So I factor that in and I just say, I'm going to fail, which means I'm going to learn. And if I don't learn, it's because I'm resisting the lesson. And the next time that lesson comes, it's going to be 10 times more of a kick in the downstairs and until I learn the lesson.
Mm.
It's just the learning. But this whole thing about winning and losing, black and white thinking, the world's gray. It's not, there's a huge hue of colors, right?
Yeah.
You're going to fail.
Can I just say, I think you brought up a really good point. Just, I mean, overall, but just that last thing you said, I'd like to kind of put my own little spin on that as well.
Okay.
Um, Black and white thinking. I
Yes.
think black and white thinking is one of the most dangerous things that we can fall into. And the reason is, as you say, things are gray in life, right?
Yeah.
And it takes practice to be able to live in the gray areas, right? Because a lot of the time you've got to go, don't like most of the situation that's happening right now, but
Mm.
you have to learn to kind of deal with it, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's important. The more uncomfortable you are in the gray, the
Hmm.
more you have to focus on getting better at living in the gray. Because if you can only ever live in black and white,
Yeah.
then if it's only ever yes or no, and that's all I'm ever happy with, then you're going to be unhappy
Oh, absolutely.
because life just doesn't work that way.
No.
As much as we'd like it to, it just doesn't. Because there are so many things that happen in every particular situation. There are so many people involved. There are so many different personalities involved. So
Yep.
it's never going to be black and white.
Yeah, just to build on that just a little bit, when I started coaching many years ago, I was very black and white. I was like, this is how you do it. If you don't do it this way, then this is what's going to happen. But then I realized that that's very black and white. And so what I started to do was I went and got some new training, and the new training said people, when initially they need to know that they've been heard and felt at the deepest level possible, with zero judgment, with zero suggestions, with zero, you should do this or you should do that, because you're just shitting on them if you do that. So, first step is enter their world and see the world through their eyes, which led me to watching videos from people that make me sick, and I watch their videos and I try to imagine that I'm them and see the world through their eyes. And over the years, I was able to loosen that all or nothing, black or white thinking, which led me to the realization of, for me, black or white thinking, all or nothing, was my way of avoiding going as deep and as far as I can with something. Because I can always say, hey, that's this didn't work, and it was like a cop out. It was another reason for me to. The brain's really clever. We're not designed for happiness. We're designed to survive, and our brain will play as many tricks as it can on us to make sure that it survives, to be safe.
Hmm.
It's crazy, but I trained myself out of that, and it was yeah, I think maybe on an evolutionary scale, this is like a level that we have to go through, because I'm 55. I don't You're almost, well, I
21.
don't, yeah, 21. So you
48.
so you'll notice that the older you get, the more you're willing to look at things from all kinds of angles, right? And all kinds of perspectives. I think that whole black and white thing is just an evolutionary stage that we have to go through, like puberty, for example. That's just, maybe that's true, maybe it's not, but I like to think that we're not stuck, we're moldable and malleable, and it's just a stage that we have to transcend if we
Mm,
want.
yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. So, you mentioned, as you're talking there, you mentioned Japan. So,
Yeah,
um, how how long have you lived in Japan now, Craig?
26 years.
26 years. And so you've been on this carnivore diet for how long?
I don't count, but it's probably 3 years.
3 years. Okay, so you've been on the diet for 3 years. You're living in Japan. How is life in Japan? Like, can you go to restaurants or
Yeah,
like
yeah.
what is your how is your wife with this way of eating? Is she joining you sometimes, or is she just like, oh, this is weird. I'm gonna do my own
Yeah,
thing?
yeah, she does her own thing, and I respect that. I
Mm,
do my own thing. She respects that. My cooking time is really fast. She has to spend a lot of time in the kitchen. That's okay. When we meet, when we go out, I just eat meat, and I'll order the steak and they can keep the rice and the vegetables, and I'll just eat the steak and drink water. And
mm.
everybody knows around me. Oh, you know what's really weird? I'm not seeking people's approval anymore. And as a result, people just respect me. They don't, oh, you don't want cake. They don't try that with me, because I don't know. I don't put up, I don't, maybe they feel like they shouldn't talk to me about that, because this is what I'm doing.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
You just made me think about something. So, um, I wonder, like I've talked a lot about how especially when you're getting started on a new way of eating, whether it's carnivore or something else, you've always got drug pushers
Social
around
pressure.
you. Yeah,
Yeah.
you always got drug. Just have one donut, it's not going to hurt, that kind of thing. Um, and just what you said there made me think, I wonder if part of that and part of our feeling about how strong that kind of sugar pushing um, is
Inviting it.
is actually yeah
Yeah.
we're almost doing it to ourselves
Yes, we are.
because now I don't feel like people are pushing anything to me. And of course, for some people, like my boss, for example, that's because she now knows that I'm not having it.
Well,
But
she wants those types of people, they want a co-conspirator.
mm,
It makes her
but
feel better to eat it. So sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
no, I just I feel like, once you're at the point where you're strong enough, or you've got enough self-control, or you just don't have the cravings anymore, where you're just like, yeah, that cake doesn't even look like anything to me, and actually when I look at the cake, all I'm thinking about is what chemicals are in there.
Mm.
Um, I wonder if that's the point where we're past the stage where we're actually,
It seems
almost
that way.
self-inflicting that kind of feeling that people are pushing stuff to us. And of course they are, but I think we're making it worse.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're picking up on that.
Hmm.
If there's a part of you that really wishes you could have that cake, but you're being strict with your diet, I believe people can sense that, and that's part of the offering that they're saying, "Don't you want cake?" Because I don't get that.
Yeah.
But when I first started, I got that. And it has to be that I was on some level inviting it. And then I would it would be a chance for me to be arrogant about my position. And then I realized, oh, that's not good. So we're not doing that anymore. So just be at peace when you're around other people and let them do what they do. And if they offer, say, I'm good, thank you. Pass the water. That worked
Hmm.
amazing for me. So I quickly put their focus on something else. So I'm fine. Can you please pass the salt? And before they can start to talk to me about how I should eat like them and destroy my health, they'll pass the salt and they let the other thought of offering me the cake go away. I came up with that little trick in the beginning. Now I don't say, I don't do nothing. I just sit there like a stoic stone. They realize they're talking to nothing because I'm not participating in cake or anything like that. I I want them to eat cake. I want them to choose whatever they choose for their life. But for me, I don't have interest because
Hmm.
I know like my health is so dialed in right now. I, I know any variant, it's going to mess me up. And I'm not going to do that to myself. I worked hard to get to this point to where I'm at peace now.
Hmm.
I just want peace. And I don't want people, I don't need that noise in my life. So what I do is respect them. In the beginning, I didn't respect them. And maybe that was part of why they were pushing on the stuff to me too. But now I'm like, it's okay. That's your life. I'm not here to educate them. They're not paying me for coaching. That's not my position. So just honor them, accept them for who they are, and just do you.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a good way of looking at it.
But the whole reframe of give me the salt or can you give me more water, please? That was a lifesaver on many occasions.
Yeah, that's a good idea. It's like completely just, yeah, switch the topic. And
I just
I think
hijacked the conversation.
I think, I mean, for people that have a reasonable amount of other awareness, they're going to go, okay, I know what he wants to change the subject. He wants to get away from talking about cake or whatever,
Yeah, but if you're
and
dealing
they'll
with a
drop it.
narcissist or some
Yeah.
unhealthy psychopath, they think they're onto something. Oh, and they
Uh,
poke around. Oh, what's this? Oh, you don't eat cake? Now they're gonna play games?
why is cake making him so uncomfortable?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And they don't know, but that's the last time we're going to be together.
Mm,
Because I definitely don't need unhealthy people like that in my life, you know?
yeah. Yeah. So, you mentioned earlier on that you set up a home gym.
Yes.
Do you still have that?
Yeah, of course.
And like, how often are you using it? What are you doing?
Right. So when I first started, I um I played around, watched all the videos and stuff, and started tracking. There's a free app called Habit Share. I use this with my clients. So you set up your habits, and then when you check it off, it notifies your coach or it notifies a friend, and it's a really nice accountability partner. You're actually your own accountability partner. Just the fact that you know this thing's getting sent to someone else, and they're going to see that you did the
Mm.
task. And I would do every day 100 sit-ups, 50 push-ups, barbells, shoulder presses, pull-ups, and do a lot of um, elastic rubber elastic band exercises for, I don't want to break anything now at my age. So and squats for my core. So and then I went down to every other day. But every single day I walk about 4 miles around 5:30 in the morning. That's every day, no matter what. I want that. That's first thing in the morning. And I bought a pull-up bar, a really expensive, heavy one that doesn't shake. It's rock solid, so I can put my rubber bands on that and do pull downs, but really fast. For those micro muscles, really fast, pull them
Oh,
down.
wow.
Yeah, I did some research in that area, and those fast pulling or fast movements or sprints, that's really good for our body.
Mm.
And now I don't have to track. I don't have to, I know what I'm doing. I know my routine, and I just do my routine every other day. But in the beginning, what happened was I joined the 75 hard challenge. And you're
75 hard challenge. What's
Yeah,
that?
it's really, really good. Andy, I forgot his name. Look it up. 75 Hard, it's called. 75hard.com. It's free. It's an amazing challenge. The guy that created it is a really great motivational guy. He makes these videos and he talks crazy smack about being a loser and being a winner and what it takes to succeed in life. And he went from zero, and in 10 years, he built a really big company, and he's a cool guy. So I listened to his videos, and I joined his 75 hard, which I failed, but it got me on track to working out consistently. So if it rains outside, I ride my indoor bike. And I went really crazy in the beginning, but now I'm really it's dialed in, and I'm really relaxed about it. So I got a watch that tracks my sleep, tracks my cardio, tracks my daily steps, tracks my heart rate. So I just check the stats, and I make sure that I get my heart rate up at a certain point throughout the day, and I make sure I get my 10,000 steps is easy if you're doing 4 miles. That gets locked in right away. And also my sleep. I track my sleep because it tells you if it was good. REM, it tracks your sleep. So it'll tell you if it's poor, fair, or good.
Mm.
So tracking, if you can't measure something, you can't manage it. So in the beginning, I was like really micro tracking, but then I just once I locked in the habits, like you don't track brushing your teeth, right? You just brush your teeth. So that's where I'm at now. I don't have to track because I know what I'm supposed to do. I just do it naturally. So I don't have to write it down and be all anal about it.
Mm.
So yeah, and my the gym in my house I love because I don't have to pay for Gold's Gym. And when I go there, they're nice, but they're just policing to making sure you're doing wear your mask or
Mm.
and I don't
Wipe
feel,
down the equipment, do this, do this, do yeah.
yeah, I'm not, you know how it is in Japan, right? I'm like, I'm not in Yochen. Like, I'm not a kindergarten student. Like, I'm a grown man. I know how to conduct myself, and I have a class to where of course, I would wipe the machine down, you know?
Mm,
Of course, I would do that. So you telling me that assumes that you thought I wasn't going to do it, which means what do you think of me? And it's like, I don't want to deal with that.
mm,
So home gym's perfect. And my wife's okay with it. She golfs. She loves her hobby and she does her thing. I do my thing. And in the
mm.
beginning, I would be up stretching. That's another thing. I stretch in the morning and I stretch at night. I want to be flexible. So I stretch, those stretch poles you lay down and you roll on it, a long yoga stretch pole. You
Oh,
lay that,
okay.
yeah, you lay down on it, it stretches your back, and then you roll your shoulders and it rolls the knots out.
Ah,
Yep. The long yoga stretch poles, especially
okay.
for
I
us.
could do with one of those.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Especially for us, they're like Sengo Hyakuen. We're sitting at the desk a lot of times working. This is imperative to take care of our back health, right? Our core. And then I'll do you pull your knee to your chest, which I could never do when I was fat because I had this big gut in the way. And then
Mm.
you pull the knee over to this side and you turn this way, and then vice versa. That stretches your core and your hips. So that's really important for me because of my work. But yeah, and it's all habit now. In the
Yeah.
beginning, it probably I well, I'll tell you what it was like in the beginning. I would walk, and 10, 15 minutes into it, I would start thinking about a shortcut to go back home because this was enough. And it was this battle with this voice in my head. But now I would just tell the voice, thank you for sharing, but that has nothing to do with this 4 mile goal. And
Mm.
now I never think about, no, it's 4 miles. You set the watch, you do it. It is not like I did enough. You didn't that Yeah, the voice doesn't come anymore. Or I'll be doing pull-ups or sit-ups, and my voice would say, that floor is dirty. You should clean that. And I'd get up and start cleaning the floor because I'm just tricking myself. So then
Yeah.
eventually that stopped. And then I just could do it. And now it's just a habit. There's none of that game playing anymore. So
Mm.
I'm
Okay.
50, I'm 55, and a lot of guys my age, I look at them and I feel bad. It's like that's what I was gonna be. I was
Mm.
gonna be that guy. Fat, puffy, face heavy, can't run, can't protect. God forbid something happens. He can't protect his family. He's gonna have a heart attack. Like I don't, and at my age, I'm 55. Usually that's from 45 on is when the big problems start happening.
Mm.
And I also wanted to increase my testosterone because our testosterone gets depleted as we age. We don't generate as much testosterone, and testosterone's like the fuel for the male. So I worked on that too, and that's just lifting weights and eating clean.
Mm.
You can increase your testosterone naturally that way, and that's what I did. I thought about testosterone replacement. I said, nah, that's an extra expense, and I'm not taking shots every day. And
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it is super important, like I noticed following, yeah, I would say following, yeah, 45, 46, it just started to be a downhill slide for me.
Oh, it was
And
terrible.
so if you're not watching,
Yep.
it gets bad very, very quickly.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
it's like, oh, where do you start?
Yeah.
There's no hope.
I mean, the thing is, your body is very good at at recovering as long as you're treating it the right way.
Yeah.
But if
Our
you're if
bodies are
you're
amazing.
abusing your
Yeah.
body, yeah,
Yeah. It's
yeah,
true. Our bodies can heal themselves. It can heal itself. Our bodies are really smart. They just
mm,
need the environment to do what it does best, which is to stay alive.
Yeah.
We all we have to do is create that environment that it wants, and it will thrive.
Mm.
So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Nice. Look, Craig, is there anything else you wanted to share with us about your journey so far with carnivore or with something in Japan?
Uh maybe just encourage people to find their own path and just do it day by day, just today.
Mm.
Just do it today. And those little wins, those little successes, they build up resistance to the bad stuff. And over time, you'll get there. Like, I want to say this about that.
Mm.
This is very important distinction I made. So I read a lot of books about masculinity and being a man, and you know, it's not cool to be a man anymore or whatever. But what I realized after reading all these books is that I'd rather die. If I die today, let them find me dead, but I got my workout in, I was eating clean, and I was doing the best I could. I was maybe I didn't get to where I was ultimately trying to go in my life, but at least I died with dignity and the respect of my family, knowing that he did the best with what he had until the bitter end.
Mm.
Instead of playing the someday game, I'll get my act together and being a coward and lying to myself, which is ultimately lying to the people that I love and pretending that it's fine, and just people looking at me when I'm gone like what a waste.
Mm.
He talked a good talk, but his walk was the total opposite. So
Mm.
I just thought I'm just going to do my best I can today, and I'll keep stacking those wins. So I don't have to have regrets, and I don't have to be a disappointment to the people I love. My family is something that's very important to me, and I want to be a model of excellence, not by what I say, but how I live my life. And because I was able to make this more about something bigger than me, then I got out of my own way. And once I got out of my own way, it became like easier. It became
Mm.
easier because I was no longer battling with me. I was doing this for others as well. It, yeah. But having said it, you got to do it for yourself. So I want to encourage everybody to be as healthy as possible. We only get one shot at this. We only get one body. Our cells keep rejuvenating, so we can rebuild this thing quickly if we treat it right and create the proper environment. I just want to encourage people to do that because a lot of the mental issues, a lot of focusing issues, a lot of that stuff can be can I want to say cleared 100%, but can be put on the right path to recovery with a healthy meat suit. And yeah, that's what I'll say. There was one more thing I wanted to say that I wanted to make clear today, but um maybe I talk too much and it's not coming, but it was about yeah. There was really something important I wanted to share with people, but what was it? I wrote some notes. Mom, maybe it'll come to me and I'll write it in the comment section. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, sure. You can always post it. And you know, happy to have you back on as well, Craig. But
yeah,
like
awesome.
where can people reach out to you? How can people get in contact?
Right. So I have a YouTube channel for personal development, which Craig DeSaucy on YouTube. If you just search Craig DeSaucy on YouTube, there's my channel. It's probably not a good channel to follow because I'm not consistent. But if you post comments or you write something, hey Craig, can you talk about this? I'll make a video and do it. Or you can go to craigdesaucy.com, and I have a breakthrough newsletter to where I talk about all this mental stuff about the things that we say to ourselves, and the stuff that I work on with my clients, I share in a newsletter on my website, craigdesaucy.com.
Okay. And of course I'll link to all those in the show
Okay,
notes.
awesome. Great.
Craig, thank you very much for joining us today. I really appreciate you taking the time, and I hope to get to Tokyo soon and catch up for Well,
Yeah.
not a beer anymore, a coffee.
Yeah. Some a steak and some water.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I got to get down to Osaka. Hey, it was great having you, David. I want to congratulate you. I think what you're doing, what you did with your health is amazing. I think you creating this channel and helping other people. At the end of the day, we can't get there on our own. So you're doing an awesome job. I know I've told you this many times, but good on you, mate.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it, Craig.
Okay, you take care.